Visagie is our reporter standing by with the latest from the Oscar Pistorius trial. Now, Patricia, very good afternoon to you. According to probation officer Annette Vergeer, Oscar Pistorius should get 3 years of correctional supervision for killing his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp. Now, again, she says that prison environment is not suitable for someone with Pistorius' disability, walking on hard cement floors on his stumps. There were no baths and no handrails in the showers for him. Please tell us about what transpired in court today.
Good afternoon, Alicia. Well, certainly very controversial, statements made by the probation officer Annette Vergeer in today's testimony here at the Oscar Pistorius, sentencing procedures. Telling the court very convincingly that the South African correctional facilities is ill-equipped to accommodate people with disabilities, also obviously referring to the Paralympian, saying it's even worse for people with in the position of the Paralympian, who of course we know is a double amputee. But let's talk to our guest here today who will unpack what this means moving forward for these sentencing procedures. I am joined by a legal expert, Laurie James. Laurie, very interesting today as we heard, probation officer Annette Vergeer speaking very confidently about the conditions of the correctional facilities in the country. But then we heard that she only visited one facility.
Yes, that was rather controversial, wasn't it? And sort of as she toured it, but she doesn't meet with her clients in the prisons themselves, and she doesn't visit the cells. So that is interesting. But she did make a few valid points. We all know that correctional services has its challenge. Regularly we see issues about gangs in our press. We see issues about overcrowding. We see issues about short staff. And these are challenges that correctional services face, but they go to a lot of trouble to ensure the safety of any inmate. They are assessed, they do a risk and needs analysis for each individual prisoner. They look at how they can facilitate his being safe in the prison. So they go to a lot of trouble to ensure the safety of prisoners.
So we cannot take her testimony as the gospel, as the alpha and omega, and especially now that it came out that she actually did not, go the extra length in doing her research.
Yes, it appears that she could have done more, definitely.
She also highlighted that the Paralympian's prosthetic legs could also be a challenge should he go to jail.
Look, the inmates in our prisons are absolute masterminds at what they can manufacture as weapons. I mean, what they can do with a toothbrush, you and I would never possibly imagine. So yes, one can imagine that they would be able to do quite a bit with a prosthetic. But this can't be seen as a reason not to incarcerate the accused, unfortunately.
And as you already stipulated, that there are certain factors that are catered for. There are conditions to make sure that people with disabilities are actually adequately catered for in our correctional facilities in the country.
Absolutely. And with Mr. Pistorius, I'm quite sure that they would put him in a single housing cell, and they are available. So there is no reason why he couldn't adapt and in fact even thrive in a prison where most facilities are available to inmates.
Then she went a step further. She highlighted the fact that there are certain unlawful activity in prison that the Paralympian might be forced into. Can we just unpack those activities?
Yes, she did. She focused quite extensively on the sexual abuse of prisoners and that he may be raped. And of course this is a concern, but it's not a concern that is solely applicable to Mr. Pistorius. It's a concern for able-bodied inmates. It's a concern for anybody entering the prison system. There's also, of course, the gang element. There's the drug element, and they're common in our prisons.
All right, and that is our guest, legal expert Laurie James, just giving us a wrap of the Oscar Pistorius sentencing procedures here at the North Gauteng High Court. Tomorrow we're expecting Advocate Gerry Nel to continue his cross-examination of the probation officer Annette Vergeer. Yes, when we come back tomorrow.
All right, Patricia, before you go, I just want to understand something. People are very confused. How long is the mitigation of sentence actually supposed to last? Reports are stating that it could take the rest of the week. And of course, still then Judge Masipa might still want to take time off and of course to consider the arguments and the recommendations at mitigation this week.
Well, Alicia, there's no certainty to exactly what time, or how long this whole procedure will take. But we have heard that we are looking at the whole of this week, that, it will only wrap up on Friday. But as you had just mentioned now, that Judge Thokozile Masipa still has to review all the testimonies that we have been hearing from all the witnesses who are taking the stand throughout this week. So we are expecting, of course, tomorrow when Advocate Gerrie Nel wraps up his cross-examination of Vergeer, that he will start calling the state witnesses who will come and testify in aggravation of sentence, and that might take another 2 days, meaning that it will in fact take us to Friday. Whether Judge Masipa will then give us her sentencing immediately, that we'll just have to wait and see. She might adjourn the matter and only come back next week and then only hand down her sentence, but we're not sure exactly how this is going to go.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. That's SABC reporter Patricia Visagie live to us outside the North Gauteng High Court, where day 2 of the mitigation of sentence for Oscar Pistorius just wrapped up.